Okay, hold on. I should have made Rabbi Yosef the co-host first. Make the co-host. Okay, so we're going to start chapter 14, verse 1. Vayihi bimei Amrafel melech Shinar. Okay. So, and it was in the time of Amrafel, the king of Shinar. Okay, so this is a very militaristic chapter. I didn't, I didn't plan it this way when I said we're going to start the fourth Aliyah because we're starting in the middle because we do it. But if you think about how was Avram Avinu known to the people of his time, they didn't know him necessarily as the great religious leader. From this chapter, it's very clear he was the supreme military force. He was a general. He was a fighter. So that's what
318 men.
Well, that's a question, but it's also, by the way, he was a fighter here. It was in the time of Amrafel, the king of Shinar. These are the four nations. They made a war against the five nations. Let's see what Rashi says. Who is Amrafel? Who Nimrod? This is Nimrod. Shamar Avram Pool L'toch Kivshon Ha'esh. Pool. That's an interesting word. That the word Amrafel is a contraction of the word Amar Pool. That's what the Gemara in Eruvin Nun Gimel tells us, that Amrafel is the word Amar Pool. But pool means go out. Where does it mean that? Or fall, like nafal. He said Amar Pool. He said fall into the Kivshon Ha'esh. He says fall into the fiery furnace. And so it was in days of Nimrod. Nimrod was the one who the Midrash says threw Abraham into a fiery furnace. That passage actually doesn't appear in the text of the Torah, but it's a very well-known Midrash. And he was the king of Shinar, and Aryoch, who was the king of Elasar. And then the next was Kedar Omer Melech Elam. Okay, and Tidal Melech Goyim. Who is Goyim? Rashi says, Makom Yesh Shmo Goyim. There was a place that was called Goyim. Al Shem Shenit Kabtzu Shama. The people gathered there. Mikama Umos Umakomos, from many nations and places. Mimlichu Ishaleim, and they put a man as king over them, Ushmo Tidal. And his name was Tidal. So, means to say he wasn't the king of all the nations, he was the king of a place called nations. Verse 2, Asu Milchama, they made a war with Bera Melech Sodom, Bersha, the king of Amorah, Shinov Melech Goyim, Melech Admah, Shem Ever Melech Tzvoyim, Melech Bela Yitzhar. So they fought against the five kings. These five kings. Let's see what Rashi says. Why the first king was named Bera, the king of Sodom. Rashi says, Ra'ala Shemayim v'Ra'ala Brios. Bera, meaning to say it's formed. He was double evil. He was evil to God and evil to other people. Birsha, Shenit Aleba Resha. He moved himself upward in wickedness. Combination also of Berasha, that he did two wickednesses. Shinav, so now Aviv Sheva Shemayim. So he hates his father in heaven. Shem Ever. What is Shem Ever? Sam Ever. He put a fake woman on himself. This is, he put up a prosthetic on himself. A prosthetic he put on to be able to fly and attack God. Meaning to say, according to the Sivsei Chachamim, it means he made wings to give him the ability to fly. He was like Batman. He made fake wings so he could fly. So why does Rashi interpret all of these names of the five kings as wicked, whereas the four kings, he doesn't do that? The four kings, he doesn't give a midrash on each one that they're wicked, but the five kings who Avram ends up saving them, the Rashi interprets each one as being wicked. So what's the reason? So So the Sifsei Chachamim says because the king of Tzoar, because since the name of the king of Tzoar is not given, and since Tzoar was not wicked, therefore the other ones were all wicked. That's the classic explanation. So all the other ones were wicked except for the king of Tzoar. Anyway, that's Bela Shema Ir. So the name of the city is Bela, the king of Bela, which is Tzoar.
Rav Tzadok said that Kedar LaOmer stands for Kolma David Rahman al David.
Yeah, so that's the
one of the four kings. So
yeah,
even
the
though
four
he
kings
was
were
also
ironically
probably evil, he was. It tells us basically that even in the face of evil, everything that Hashem does is for the good.
Yeah, so but it's ironic that the four kings who Avram did not fight on their side, that they were actually good, as opposed to the five kings who Avram fought against, who Avram saved, that they were bad. We know they were bad because Sodom was the worst. Okay, Kol Ela Chavru El Emek Hasidim Huyam. All these gathered together to the valley of the Sidim. It is the Yam HaMelech. So, by the way, I want to try to connect all of our learning to what's going on in Israel. So they say the Dead Sea. Many of the people who had to be evacuated because their homes were invaded by Hamas, many of those people are staying in the hotels by the Dead Sea. So if you want to go, like you say, what can I do in Israel? First of all, one of the things you could just do is just go every day to these homes and just sit with people and meet them and talk to them, because a lot of them were moved from the south, and then they've been moved to these hotels, but they're farmers and they can't go back to their homes, so they have nothing to do all day. They're sitting there all day. What are they supposed to do? Well, the men have been called to battle. A lot of them are okay. So they study Torah, so a lot of them are coming from secular kibbutzim. Although now the big joke in Israel is that they've handed out so many kippot and tzitziyot at the army bases that everybody's wearing a kippah and a tzitzit. And so the one girl said to her mother, I don't know how to find the religious soldier anymore because they're all wearing the tzitzit and the kippah. And so her mother said back to her, no, you look for a good person. Said, now we're not like that anymore. I've never seen, I don't know if I mentioned this before, I've never seen this unprecedented unity amongst the Jewish people. It's almost messianic that the way everybody is getting along now. There is no us and them. It's just, I mean, obviously nothing lasts forever, but enjoy it while we can. Enjoy it while we can. Okay, so he says, so all of these people gathered together in Emek Hasidim.
But Shmuel, is that what it took?
Well, is that what it took? So first of all, it's tragically that's what it takes. But now I said in one of my diaries, now I understand why our rabbis always said that the tremendous battles, fights and losses precedes the Messianic era, because that's what reminds us, it brings people together when we have tremendous tragedies. It's what it is. It's what brings people together. And I can tell you that if the nation is together like we've never been before. Yes, Shoshana.
I went to Tel Aviv University in 73 and 74, so you have to be old. Remember this. I don't think they had the same divisions in society as before the young people, but you had the same sense of unity after. Everybody was everybody's brother. Everybody was everybody's sister. So it takes a very large tragedy, and that was my first trip to Israel. I've been there many times since. I think it does take that sort of thing to produce the kind of unity you're talking about. I've never seen it from then to now.
So I don't know if you heard what Shoshana was saying. She said she felt this unity after the Yom Kippur War, and then she didn't see anything like it until now. So 50 years later, but okay, so then Koel Chavru al Emek Hasidim Hu Yam HaMelech. Emek Hasidim. What? Yeah, well, one of the commanders of the army base where I went to, and he was very generous to me. The commanders of the army bases embraced me. They took me to places where I was shocked that I, as a civilian, went. No, seriously, like I was places where I was the only one not wearing a helmet and a ceramic vest. And the reason why they brought me there is because they felt it was very good for morale to have. But one of the commanders of the army base said on Yom Kippur, this was a big thing, which we really didn't hear too much about in America. But on Yom Kippur, there was fights in public about mechitzot in Dizengoff and lawsuits, and Jews were fighting, and all that fighting has disappeared now. This is the first time I went to Israel. I didn't see a fight. I didn't see people fighting with each other, arguing. That's it. It's just, and everybody was fighting to pay for each other. People were fighting. That was the only fight. People were fighting to pay for each other. So, okay, so the Valley of the Sidim, Kach Shemo, that's what it was called. Hashem Shayubo Sadot Arbe. There were many fields. And that was called Yam HaMelech. Later on, it was called the Dead Sea, because we know it can't be called the Salty Sea yet, because it was only after God turned it into salty place did it become that. So Rashi says afterwards, Nimshach Hayam Otocho. The sea extended into the valley, and now it became the salty sea. Midrash Haggadah says that the boulders around the valley burst into the open, and the streams were drawn into it. So, okay. So now, what's the next pasuk? Shteim esrei shana avdu et kedar omer. Hold on, I got a very, very important text from one of my children who's in college. I'm not going to say who. Now, how would you respond to this text? It came in. I block all my texts from coming in, but my kids, I believe, and unblocked. He says, "How long should chicken be in the oven for?" I mean, it's a chicken breast. You can't answer that question. I'm just so happy he's making chicken. I didn't know he knew how to do that. 12 years they served Kedar Omer. In 13 years they rebelled. So they served for 12 years, and now these 5 kings are making a rebellion. Rashi says, these 5 kings were serving Kedar Omer, who was the head of the 4 kings. Now it comes the 14th year, about verse 5, on the 14th year, Kedar Omer came, and the kings that were with him, and they struck down Rephaim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, and they struck down the Zuzim Baham, B'Shavei Kiryatayim. They struck down the Imim in Shavei Kiryatayim. What does that mean? Rashi says. You want to ask a question, Jerry?
Yes. Are these cities still have they identified the locations of these 3 cities?
No.
The answer is I just don't know. I don't know. You mean I don't know?
Okay.
The answer is I don't know. Maybe Betzal knows.
Yeah, I don't think so.
In next week's parsha, Hashem destroys these cities. So forever, it says in Parshat Nitzavim, sulfur and fire.
Where is Ashtaroth Karnaim mentioned in Shas, Shmuel? Oh,
It's mentioned where?
Shmuel, where is Ashtaroth Karnaim mentioned in Shas?
Is it in Shabbos?
Nope. I'll give you a hint. Ela Ma'ata. Asa Sukaso be Ashtaroth Karnaim.
Where is that going? Sukkah?
Look at that phase on the bottom. Remember it talks about Rabbah, the different reasons?
Of Helena the Malka, right above Helena the Malka?
No, that's on Amud Beis. It's on Amud Aleph on the bottom where it says it has to do with shade.
Right. Okay, fine. So it's mentioned in the Talmud, Jerry. Sukkah Beis Amud Aleph. Thanks to Betzal, we no longer need Google. So it says, in the 14th year, the Kedar Omer came and they struck it down. So what does Rashi say? Lemir done. In the 14th year of their rebellion, Kedar Omer came. He was the one most affected. Nichnas Bavia Kore. Therefore, he played the most prominent role.
So, Raphael here mentions as remnants of the Anakim. The Anakim were the giants.
They were the giants, yeah. And the kings that were with him, it was Shlosha Malchem. So Kedar Omer took the 3 other kings, and Azuzim, him Zamzuzim. So Rashi says they're the same as the Zamzumim. Okay. Ve'tachori b'hararam Seir, and the Horites at the mountains of Seir, ad El Paran, until the mountain of Paran, Asher al Midbar, which is in the desert or the wilderness. She says ve'tachori b'hararam Seir, what is b'hararam, their mountain, Bahar Shalem, which is their mountains. And what is El Paran? She says, okay, we're going to skip that Rashi. It's too grammatical. We skip those Rashis. Asher al Midbar. What does it say? That is in the wilderness or in the desert. Rashi says Eitz al Midbar, next to the desert. The word al can mean next to. Fine. Vayashuvu vayavo ein mishpat hi kadesh, and they came back to ein mishpat, which is Kadesh. Kadesh is one of those places that's like a main street. There's like 4 billion of them in America, and Kadesh, there's a lot of them in the Bible. And the commentaries even say back
There
then
were 2 Kadesh Barneas.
2 Kadesh Barneas. Kadesh is just a name. So we'll see what Rashi says. Vayaku, it's the Amaleki, and now they struck down the Amalekites, the field of the Amalekites. The Gamat Amoria Yoshev Chatzon Tamar, and also the Amori who dwell in the Chatzon Tamar. By the way, that's another thing we heard a lot of. We heard a lot of in Israel that Hamas was compared to Amalek. A lot of people, because the whole reason Hamas, they weren't satisfied just to kill the Jews, because you could make peace with an enemy where they kill our soldiers and we kill their soldiers. That's what people have been making peace with people who they fight battles with for thousands of years. But how can you make peace with an enemy that intentionally tortures the most helpless people in the most brutal way possible? That it was intentionally done to make sure that there can never be peace with them. That has to have been their goal. So okay, so what does Rashi say? They came to Ein Mishpat, which is Kadesh. Al Shem Altid. This is, oh yeah, Jerry, what's your question here? Jerry?
But the Nazis who burned Jewish bodies, we made peace with them.
We never made peace with the Nazis. The Nazis, we never made peace. In fact, we're still hunting them down to this day. There's still like a couple of old men somewhere, and we catch them every 6 months. You hear about it, and we still throw them in jail. Like the Nazis, we with the Nazis' children, we made peace, but now with the Nazis. Now with the Nazis.
Thank you. That's a very good answer. Thanks.
Okay. So Ein Mishpat, which is Kadesh, Rashi says Al Shem Atid, because of the future was called Kadesh. Shatid and Moshe v'Aaron Lishafet Sham Al Iskei Oto Einyan. So now we see, where are we? We're now basically on the other side of the Jordan River. That's where this is taking place. But this battle is not taking place. It's taking place on the eastern bank, not the western bank of the Jordan, because it's in the place I assume that's where the Moshe and Aaron were judged there. So this is the same Kadesh. This is the waters of the strife. Forgot about this. That this is the place which anticipates where Moshe and Aaron are going to be looking for water. Unklus Tergomo Kipshuto Makom Shayu Bnei Dinah Mitkabtzim Sham Makom Mishpat. Unklus says no, it was just a place. It was just a place where they went together for Mishpat. Rashi says it's called Ein Mishpat because it's a place where Moshe and Aaron were going to be judged. But Uncle says, no, it's just a place where people used to gather for judgment. So they had to fight in the place of like the Supreme Court, the International Court, The Hague. That's where they had to fight. She says the field of the Amalekites. She says we have a problem. Adain will know about Amalek, but Amalek was not going to be born. Does anybody know when Amalek is born? When's Amalek born?
In Vayishlach.
In Vayishlach. And the end of
Lamed Hey.
Vayishlach. What? Lamed Vav, chapter 36, verse 12. It says,
Son of Eliphaz.
that's right. That
Bastard grandson of
Amalek.
Esau.
Right. So Amalek was born, but he was only born in chapter 36, verse 12. So why is this the field of the Amalekites? So it was basically, it was a reference to a future situation which had not yet come about yet. And then we'll just do the last Rashi here, then we'll have a mincha. V'chatzitzon tamar. What's that? U'engedi. That's engedi. And mikra maleh b'divrei hayomim b'yoshafat. So this is referenced later on that Chatzon Tamar and Divrei Yomim we're told that it is about Yoshaphat. Okay, so then tomorrow we'll talk about how the 4 kings defeat the 5 kings. For now, I appreciate everybody coming to study today and study in memory of those wounded, of those murdered, for Yeshua, for Chayalei.